Put me in the middle of your mission. Help me find the strength to say, if God be for me, then who can be against me this day?
King Xerxes ruled from India to Ethiopia. Near the year of 480 BC, before Christ was born, the king decided to give a huge banquet for all his officials, ministers, and military leaders. There was plenty of food and wine for days, so that the king could show off all his wealth. Next, he wanted to show off his beautiful wife, Vashti.
Go, tell my wife Vashti to come out so that I can show off her beauty. Maybe she can dance for us.
But Vashti said,
I am not going to go out there so he can show me off. I am the queen. I don't want to be embarrassed or humiliated.
That made the king very mad that she refused him. In fact, he was so mad that he decided Vashti could not be queen anymore. He was going to find a new queen. The king's servant said,
Let us search through your whole kingdom and bring you the most beautiful girls we can find. Then you can pick a new queen.
King Xerxes said,
Now that is a good idea. Make it so.
Meanwhile, there was a Jew whose name was Mordecai. Back when King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon took a lot of the Jews away from their homeland, Mordecai's ancestors were among those who had been taken and held in captivity in a new land. Mordecai had raised his cousin Esther since her parents had died. Many young women came to the palace to see if the king would pick them to be the new queen. Esther was one of them. But Mordecai reminded her,
Don't tell anyone that you are a Jew.
So Esther never mentioned her background or the fact that she was a Jew. Out of all the girls, the king fell in love with Esther and placed a crown on her head. She was to be his new queen. Every day, Mordecai would walk by the courtyard to see how Esther was doing. One day, he overheard two men planning to kill the king.
Okay, you take your knife and go in the back door.
Yes, you take your dagger and go in through the window.
Then we will kill the king.
Mordecai told Esther.
Esther! I just heard two men plotting to kill the king.
Of course, Esther told the king.
Mordecai just heard two men plotting to kill you.
So naturally, the king ordered that those two men be caught and put to death. This was all written down in the king's journal. Sometime later, one of the king's special leaders, named Haman, always walked by the king's gate every day, and all the servants would bow down to him, because that is what Haman liked and had ordered them to do. But not Mordecai. Mordecai was a Jew who would not bow to any man. Jews only bowed down to God. That made Haman very mad, that Mordecai would not bow to him.
I am going to make sure Mordecai dies. In fact, I'm going to make sure all Jews die.
Then Haman went to the king.
There are some odd people who live in your provinces who don't obey the king's laws. They won't even bow down to important rulers. Is it okay if I have them eliminated? I'll pay for it.
Sure, go ahead. It's your money. You do what you want with it.
So notices were posted everywhere that on a certain day, all Jews would be killed, young and old, even the babies. Naturally, all the Jews were in a panic. What were they going to do? Mordecai dressed in sackcloth and stood at the gate crying, trying to get Esther's attention. She looked out to the courtyard and saw him and was stunned. She sent a servant out to find out what was wrong. Mordecai gave the notice to the servant who then gave it to Queen Esther. She read it and sent back this message.
Tell Mordecai that no one can just go in to see the king. They must be invited. If I go to the king when I'm not invited, then he will probably kill me.
The servant told Mordecai what Esther had said, and Mordecai answered,
Then tell her this. Does she really think that she will be the only Jew left alive? If she does nothing, then God will get us help some other way. But she better think hard about this. Maybe she was born and made to be queen for such a time as this.
Esther replied,
Then tell Mordecai to have all the Jews fast. Tell them not to eat or drink for 3 days and only pray. I will do the same. Then I will try to go in to see the king. If I die, I die.
After 3 days, Esther went in to the king. He was happy to see her, holding out his golden scepter.
What is it that you wish, my love?
I wish that you and Haman would come to a special dinner that I've prepared.
Of course.
At the dinner, the king asked again,
What is your wish? I am happy to give you half the kingdom.
Come again tomorrow for another special meal, and I will tell you then.
Meanwhile, Haman was talking to his wife.
Things are going so well. I've been invited by the queen to 2 special dinners. And I get to go with the king. But I'm still mad because every time I pass that Mordecai, he still won't bow down to me.
His wife, Zeresh, said,
Ask the king if you can hang Mordecai. I'm sure he'll let you. Go ahead, build those gallows, so that they will be ready for you to hang him from.
That night the king couldn't sleep, and he asked that the royal journal be read to him. They read out loud about when Mordecai had saved his life from those 2 men at the gate who had planned to kill him. The king said,
Was anything ever done to thank Mordecai for that information that saved my life? Ask my friend, Haman, to come here so I can get his advice.
Haman came into his room.
You summoned me?
Haman, what would be a nice thing to do for someone I need to honor?
He must be talking about me.
Well, said Haman.
Well, put on a royal robe on this person and have him ride a royal horse through the town square and proclaim loudly that this is the person the king wishes to honor.
That's a good idea. Go and make that happen for Mordecai, for I need to thank and honor Mordecai.
The next day, at the second dinner, the king asked again,
Now, tell me what I can do for you, my love. Would you like half the kingdom?
O king, please let me and my people live. For I am a Jew, and we are all to be put to death soon.
What? Who would do such a thing?
Our enemy, this evil Haman.
What?
He was so upset, the king left the table to walk outside and try to cool off. Haman fell before Esther, clinging to her robe and begging for mercy.
No, please talk to the king for me. For he will have me killed. Please, I want to live.
King walked back into the room and said,
Now it looks like you're touching my wife, and I'm just outside the door?
One of the servants said,
Look over there! It is the gallows that Haman built, on which he wanted to hang Mordecai.
Huh. Then that's the perfect place on which we shall hang Haman.
King Xerxes then made a new order that the Jews could defend themselves, and that anyone threatening the Jews would be put to death. Jews everywhere celebrated and cheered, and Mordecai became the new advisor to the king. Jews today still celebrate the story of Esther every year with a celebration It's called the Feast of Purim.
When life inside